Good day, strategy gamers, and welcome back to episode 3 of our Japan Let's Play series, Rule the Waves 3. This episode, we're going to be picking up where we left off in 1891. And just do a real quick recap. We have rising tensions with China as a possible threat for war in the future. We have docks that in 2 months will be upgraded to 7,000 ton capacity, so that'll be pretty exciting. We also commissioned an order for our first battleship design, the Fuso, which is being built in Great Britain, and we have multiple light cruisers that will probably be completed this year. And looking at the map, we do also have a security agreement with Russia. Some rising tensions with France and Germany are a little bit of a concern, considering they have colonial possessions and so forces in the Pacific theater. But really, China appears to be the next big thing. With that, let's get right into some of the turn by turn. So we'll go to March of 1891. So it looks like the USA is enforcing Midway with some coastal batteries. And tension with the USA is reduced. So interesting. You know, their tension in the Pacific goes down, but they build coastal batteries. And then tension with China again increases. So we continue to see elevated threats here from China. Nothing else really happens. We're just going to go to the next turn again. Our new docks have now been completed. That's very exciting. We see that China, has commissioned a new battleship. We have reduced tension with Great Britain, which is great. They weren't much of a concern, but it's always good to keep them lower. And unfortunately, our Spain tension decreased. I'd actually like the Spain tension to increase. So I think what we will do actually is raise our intelligence level with Spain. And frankly, war, I think, is coming sooner than later with China, and I would like to have some type of intelligence network with them, so we're going to raise them to low. It might mean that war comes a couple months earlier, but I want to have an intelligence network established when we actually get to war. So when we see this little asterisk here, that indicates that we're still building up to that level of intelligence gathering. Because the docks were completed building, we see that our monthly balance now has a surplus again of $750. We're actually going to right away just go ahead and increase dock size once more. Again, the cost is roughly $900, and that will run for the next 15 months. And we see that we have our light cruisers finishing here in 9 months. When that budget is freed up from them, I think we might commission another Fuso battleship. If there's some type of technology improvements between them, but I'm not expecting it. We may make a new design, but probably not. And then we may look at actually commissioning a new heavy cruiser design. We'll have a bit of a choice to either do the heavy cruiser design when we get our docks to either the 8,000 mark, which is what's next, or our current 7,000. So we'll see where we're sitting there. Go the next turn. So the USA is proposing a security agreement. So the same choices that we had with Russia exist here in this situation. Now, the thing is, the US isn't really a threat right now. They're really quite small. So if we look at the almanac, we actually have a fleet that is about the same size as theirs. They have one more battleship, a couple more heavy cruisers, but we outnumber them on light cruisers. I was not expecting this. We've had two surprises now with security agreement events popping up. Russia was especially a surprise. The US is maybe a little bit less of a surprise. Let's also look at all relations to see what the US's relationships are with other countries. So here is where there might be actually some opportunity. The US has really high tensions with Spain. and with France. France is just moderate. I mean, we have the same level of tension. Let's actually show values too so we can see those numbers. So really, one of the additions to Rule of Waves 3 is actually that the AI can have a war with another nation without the human player being involved, which was a great improvement that's been asked for. And this means then that, they'll have battles, they might lose ships, they might lose territories to each other, etc. And it's just a very dynamic addition to the game. There's really only 2 wars that are currently looking like a possibility around the globe right now, and that's between us and China, and the United States and Spain. Those are the 2 most likely wars. What I'm a little hesitant about is if we do the security agreement, that might then just drag us into a war with Spain, and then we'll have a war with China at the same time. So our Spain tensions are low. So we don't have any concern with Spain right now. We would actually like them to be a little higher, but they're at 0 right now. The tensions with the US are so high that they're probably going to break out to war, and us signing the security agreement will actually probably increase US-Spain tensions even higher. The other disadvantage of signing the security agreement with the United States is, of course, that it would lower our budget. So I think we're going to say that we're going to avoid entanglements that tie our foreign policy. So this is going to increase our budget, but it's also going to increase some tension. So let's see the results of that decision. And we have another scientific setback of telescopic sights. And France has finally quelled the rebellion in Tunisia. Let's see. Great Britain increases naval spending. Big surprise there. So really the tensions increased just by a value of 1 with the United States. Everything else looks like it stayed the same. As a consequence, though, we got, I don't remember the exact number, but I think we ended up getting with that maybe a couple or $3,000 annually to our budget, which then means our monthly balance is actually positive here, again, running a surplus. So that was nice getting the little budget boost from the decision. Crew training suffers again because our fleet is obsessed with the arts and theater and are attending to operas instead of gunnery practice. That's not great. Great Britain increased naval spending again. And then we see China with more battleship commissions. We have a captain that's actually below average quality, so that might be the first that we've seen with actually below average quality. Our tension with Great Britain's reduced, and the US is having difficulty with Harvey armor. So we have 0 tension with Great Britain and Spain. Happy about the Great Britain one, less happy about the Spain one. Everything else is staying the same, though. We'll go next turn again. Internal upheaval in Panama. Spain is trying to send a force there to restore order. So we can really accelerate our tension levels with Spain by issuing an ultimatum that they stand down. So this is going to be... So here's what we're going to do. We're going to let them have Panama. Because in the long term, I do think we will have a war with Spain, and I do think we will be able to try to take some of their assets. Them having Panama then gives us a chance to maybe take Panama from them. It's not really going to boost their economy too much or anything like that. It's not one of the more lucrative territories in the game modeling, I should say. Of course, it has strategic importance with the Panama Canal and all that, but I think we're going to let them have it so we can perhaps take it from them later. We're not really in a position right now to maintain a presence in another theater box right now. So we're going to say they can have it, and they've taken control of Panama. We see some ships being built by the various nations there. China has ordered a battleship to be built in a British shipyard, so that might actually be of a dangerous size. There we see that Spain has taken Panama. Okay, so let's actually go to the almanac and look at China, and let's see if we have any info about the one being built in Great Britain. Oh, okay, not worried at all. They're building a 7,000-ton battleship in Great Britain. They're actually building 3 of them, it would look like. So that's not too concerning. I was worried maybe they're building some 14,000-ton battleship, much like we are with the Fuso, that could really kind of dominate the engagements. So that's okay. Let's see how many more turns we have on our light cruisers. So another 6 months. That will put us really into 1892 just about. German government is offering to sell us the rights to 3-inch guns of quality 1. Current 3-inch guns are quality 0. For $8,000. I generally have a rule of thumb that anytime somebody wants to sell you gun technology, you immediately take it, even if it puts you into financial trouble. I don't know that we're going to take an offer for 3-inch guns, though, that also compromises our financial position so much. So we're going to pass down that great opportunity to overpay on 3-inch guns. Watertight integrity, we're having problems with. Let's see what else is happening. Spain's building more coastal batteries. Russia increased their naval budget as well as Great Britain because there's no surprises. Let's just look at the almanac. Look at Great Britain. 444,000 naval budget, still 4 times our own. One of our minor allies on the Asian mainland is threatened by a neighbor. What policy do we recommend? We back the ally unconditionally, raises budget and tension, while peace conference lowering tension, or try to get our ally to back down and lose a prestige point. We're going to back our ally unconditionally. I worry that this will increase tensions with France or China, but I would really like to get the extra budget. Tension is now very high between the USA and Spain, so there might be a war coming here soon between Spain and the USA. And for the French are having some troubles with scientific research. It's about the gist of the updates. It's actually Germany that we raised our tension with. I'm a little less fussed about that. I mean, Germany certainly has a fleet that would pose a lot of challenges for us, but again, they have to split it between their colonies as well as Northern Europe. And if a war came, we would have the option to keep our fleet entirely in Northeast Asia, the one theater box, to try to control home waters and, kind of bleed out the German resources over time. All right. With that, we actually see too that our budget is now a positive surplus of 860, and this is starting to get to the point where I don't want to say the money's burning a hole in our pocket, but we should probably look at spending that on something, even if it means we go negative for a while. I think what we're going to do is we're going to order another Fuso with Great Britain. And that again will put us negative by about 900 funds every month in the deficit. But 4 months from now, these cruisers will finish and we'll actually be in a pretty good spot. So let's go ahead and order another Fuso from Great Britain. And that Fuso is going to be called the Yashima. Very well. 25 months from now, we will have 2 Fuso class battleships with 4 13-inch guns at 14,500 displacement. That's exciting. We're going to be rocking a deficit of about $1,000 a month, but that'll be okay. Ambassador from Germany has approached Minister of Navy with the suggestion that we curb our naval programs in the interest of peace and stability. So Germany's being a bit of a surprise here. So we would rather go to war than agree to naval limitations. That gets us back a prestige point, but raises tension. I don't know that we want a disarmament conference. Although strangely, like if the one time during the game where a disarmament conference might benefit us might be right now where our dock size is so limited, our naval gun research is so limited. Like we might lose the 2 Fusos that we've ordered with Great Britain, but actually no, we don't want a disarmament conference because then it prevents us also from catching up to everybody else who has large battleships right now. Or we could say reduction in tensions be welcome, so it lowers our tension with them. Also lowers our budget. We're going to say we would rather go to war than agree to naval limitations. And Great Britain increases their budget. So we now are in the yellow with Germany. But we have gotten back to 20 prestige and have maintained our budget, which has seen some good growth in 1891. Tension is very high between USA and Spain. This is what I was hoping would happen. So tension with Germany reduces because there's no areas of conflicting interest, which is true. And tensions with Russia continue to grow. The irony is they're our ally. All right. I'll take that exchange, though. Let's look at all relations again here. Yeah, war is going to break out here pretty soon with the US and Spain. They're at 11 now. So that's going to be coming soon. Next month here, Germany increased their naval budget. France increases tension. US reduces. China increases. Yeah. China's creeping up there as well. Let's see. We have one more turn until our light cruisers are finished. Yeah, 3 of them will be finished next month, so that's exciting. So we see that for the Akadashima, during its commissioning and during sea trials, that it has trouble reaching the design speed. Unfortunately, that means that it might actually have difficulty maintaining 20 knots in the division, which will be unfortunate. And it looks like the other 2 cruisers were just fine. War has now broken out between the US and Spain. Right. See if there's any other news in here of note. We have a captain of average ability. Captain was promoted to rear admiral. German tension decreases, so that's good. And then Great Britain increases by 1 for some reason. That's okay. So we now have, again, a surplus of 1,400, and we're going to have another 900 available next month when this light cruiser finishes. So I think this is a bit of a decision point. Do we want to build more heavy cruisers at 7,000 tons in our own docks, or would we rather commission another battleship with Great Britain? I don't think there's been absolutely no technological progress really to warrant changing the design of the Fuso. So let's see what a heavy cruiser would look like built in local shipyards. Let's take a look at that. Let's just bump this up to 7,000 tons, our limit. We would be building with 8-inch guns. If we go up to 9-inch, we'll be a little overweight. But we could get heavy cruisers with 9-inch guns here. The armor of 4 inches of belt is not great because with 9-inch guns, our enemies will actually be able to penetrate that at 2,000 yards or less, which is rather close, to be fair. I mean, it's a pretty close engagement range, but so let's see what happens if we take the cruiser up to 5 inches of belt. I like to go heavier on armor on my ships than maybe others tend to. So yeah, we're just overweight. That's fine. We have 48 weight coming from our tertiary guns. And then we have 340 coming from our secondary guns. So I think with a little bit of creativity here, we can get this to work. So let's decrease our secondary guns. I'm just going to get rid of the tertiary here. Do we have torpedoes? We do. 2 torpedo tubes. That's good. And we're 28 weight over. We can maybe reduce ammo. I don't know if I want to reduce it that much, but we did reduce ammo to 120 rounds per gun. This then becomes a healthy design. I think this might work. I think we'll go with this. The thing with the 9-inch guns as well is when we think about, maybe a war with China, they had a lot of ships with, I think it was 3 and 3.5 inch armor, which means we would actually be able to penetrate them at ranges within 7,000 yards. And frankly, the maximum range is 8,600 yards, so most of the time in which we could engage the enemy, they would be able to penetrate. The exception being their battleships, though, which that would be expected. And this would cost $1,000 to produce. So we could build, after the design study is done, we could build 2 of these with a surplus. And if our budget grows, we can maybe get a third of the Iwate class built. So let's go with the heavy cruiser route instead of ordering another Fuso from Great Britain. I'm going to take 3 months, $2,000 to research. Probably could have made that decision 2 months ago and had it ready to go then, but I missed that opportunity. So we'll run with the budget surplus for a little bit longer than usual. So that last light cruiser has been commissioned to the Navy. Let's make sure, I think I forgot this with the other 2. Let's make sure we assign a commander with a good competency. We have 2 average commanders here. We'll use this one. And then for divisions, I think we might do a new division for, well, yeah, let's do a new division for our new light cruiser class. I think that makes sense. So that will be these 4 light cruisers. And actually, I'm just noticing. So the lead ship in the class, we had the event saying that it had trouble reaching its design speed. It looks like that has actually applied to every ship of the class. I was thinking that maybe it was just that specific commissioning of that ship, but it's the whole class that has received that hit to their size. So we definitely want these guys in their own division now. And unfortunately, that puts us in a position where we have a division of light cruisers that will be slower than the rest of our fleet. And if we think back retroactively to decisions that we had made during the design of this class of ship, one of our decisions where we took a risk, we lowered the knots from 21 knots to 20 because we sat there going, okay, that's in line with everything else we have in the fleet right now. Because of that design issue, now we didn't have the buffer room. We would have landed right at 20 otherwise. Oh my goodness. Okay. We will just have to deal with that though. Next month, let's see what happens. We're in 1892 by now. After a naval visit by the U.S., we're asked to comment on their ships. I'm actually going to be a little insulting and call them rust buckets. Well, no, I don't get budget from that. I just get prestige. We're fine with our prestige. So we're just going to take the neutral option. That's fine. And I forgot to put a rear admiral in charge of that new division, but it looks like the computer handled that for us. Next turn, next month, we should be able to start work on our heavy cruisers that we designed. So that would be nice. So we're trying to research destroyers. That seems to be the focus, but there hasn't been much progress. A lot of battleships that were laid down this turn. And it looks like that was driven by the fact that Germany and Great Britain had produced battleships this turn. So they had budget and dock space then to support it. Tension with Great Britain increases. Tension with Spain increases. That's okay. Not too worried about that. The Iwati is now ready for construction. So let's go to the build screen. And what I want to look at, I think we can maybe get away with building 3 of them. It's going to put us at a pretty material deficit every month, but I would expect that we're going to have at least one more event this year that increases our budget, which will help. And we're also going to have the Fuso, the first that we ordered, probably deliver in the next year here. So let's order 3 of the Iwati heavy cruisers. Yeah, in 9 months we'll have the first Fuso deliver. So it'll be, what is that, I think January then of 1893. So 9 months at a deficit of 850 will be just fine. And then again, we'll probably have somewhere in there a budget increase. Go to the next month. Finished working up. Prime Minister wants to hold an international gathering with a sailing regatta and competition. Thought is it's going to help with tensions internationally, but it's going to take money. So right when 5 seconds ago I was talking about how our budget's probably going to go up, we have an event that might lower our budget. So we can get some prestige and we can lower tension. That's not a bad idea, I guess. And it doesn't have it on here, but I would bet that that actually does lower our budget based off of how the event's worded. Or we can just say this is not a good time. Let's go ahead and say that we will support this initiative. We're going to get a bump in prestige. I'm hoping that the budget hit we take is very minimal. We're at 121,760 now. Let's see what it looks like. But I would really like the China tension to come down maybe just another notch, because we're still building up our intelligence network there as well. So it looks like in a battle between the US and Spain that a heavy cruiser of the United States, the Brooklyn, has been sunk and Spain lost a corvette. So war is not going great for the United States, it looks like. So the Spain had problems delaying the construction of the battleship San Telmo. Had a commander promoted to captain. Okay. In our spies report, there are rumors in China about war with us. I feel like that's coming maybe just a little too early. Not a fan of that. And it looks like our budget stayed the same from that event. So really, I don't think we lost anything by choosing the option we did. That's nice. 2 months, we're going to have increased dock sizes, which will be good. We have China increasing their naval budget. Spain's ordering a battleship to be built in France. China lay down another battleship. Commander of average ability. In Great Britain, we got some intelligence on 2 battleships that will be commissioned in 9 and 14 months. Okay. This war with China thing, again, I would really like to delay it maybe another year. Our new docks completed. That's good. And tension with Spain increases because they have the Philippines. We're just automatically going to go ahead and increase dock size again. I really do want to get that up so we don't have to rely on foreign powers in their dockyards for our ship construction. We'll go the next month. Oh no, an uprising in China makes it necessary to send an expeditionary force. So, can send a strong force, raising prestige and tension. Do a multinational, which has no effect. We can lower tension by saying we should keep out of foreign adventures. Bit of a decision point here, because this could really put us on a path we can't get off of war with China. Let's take another look at China just to kind of see where they're at now. So they have really, really grown their fleet. More than I would like to see. They also have a lot that is being built. I mean, they they have 13 battleships and 5 are in construction still. Technology is behind. Our technology is now behind. I didn't notice that. Okay. Well, scientists have been facing too many headwinds. Now we completely dominate China in the light cruiser realm, and we're about in parity with heavy cruisers. But the battleships are really what worry me. Because this is just... These 12-inch guns and even the 10-inch guns, with what we have in the fleet right now, would completely outrange us and be able to penetrate our armor. If this intelligence is correct as well, that's worth noting. I think it's more common that, the armor numbers, though, are what we don't have great visibility on. They are smaller battleships, so it is a small fleet, I'll put it that way. High quantity, but small fleet. Let's send a strong force to safeguard our interests. All right. So we have a commander who's below average ability. The French have a rebellion in the Antilles. And one of our heavy cruisers is going to be delayed because of some equipment being delivered. The other thing I didn't say aloud, but I was thinking in my head when we were looking at the almanac with China, is an advantage we have is our security agreement with Russia, where we could see some benefit from Russia sending forces here, because from Russia's perspective, they would really like to take the opportunity to take some of these ports around the Korean Peninsula. So I could see them maybe getting more involved with this war compared to other wars. Let's look at ships under construction. So we have 5 months left until our first Fuso arrives. Now that Fuso, when it arrives, it will be the preeminent battleship in Northeast Asia. Problem is, it will be the preeminent battleship by itself, without much support. If we can get 2 Fusos, though, I would feel really comfortable with a war with China. I think we could manage that. I'm, again, being a little conservative because of the decision we're making to let the AI resolve the battles. I really want to stick to that throughout the entire Let's Play series. Let's go ahead and go to the next month. Another round in the Balkans. Oh my goodness. It's always the Balkans. So, yes, we can blame it on a specific country, but our 2 options there are Russia or China, which we don't want to do. I think we're just going to say that it's deplorable and this is just going to raise tensions because everybody's upset about it. Russia increased their budget. Spain increased their budget. Number of ships being built. And we have a rear admiral who is of average ability. So across the board, these European nations, tensions just went up with everyone because they're all a little antsy because of what's going on in the Balkans. A colonial crisis has arisen with China. We're asked for recommendations. safeguard our interests. This would pretty much send us to war if we do this one. We get increased budget and prestige, but it would, I'm willing to bet, would send us to war in the next month or two. I'd say it would be best to avoid war, where our budget increases and our tension goes up a little bit. I still think we would end up in a state of war in a couple of months with any tension increase from this event, though. Or we can say we're not ready, give us more budget, reduce the tension, and the cost is that we're going to lose a prestige. I'm going to take advantage of this one. I would like the extra time to get those Fusos delivered. When we have those, that decision changes. So that lowered the tension by 1, I think, and we got $7,000 more in our budget. I think $7,000 in our budget for the cost of 1 prestige at this point is a pretty good trade-off. What I'm going to do as well, going back to it, we're going to bump this up to 12, even though there's diminishing returns in terms of our research budget. The fact that we're behind really does concern me a little. We'll go the next month. And let's see. So we're getting some good intelligence here from Spain, putting in effort into gunnery training. We have, or they have, a new battleship under construction. Has a top speed of 15 knots and 10 inches of belt armor. They also have a heavy cruiser with belt armor of 4.5 inches, so it's a pretty decent ship. They're building a battleship that'll be done in 11 months. And reports that China are having trouble mastering the principles of the early gyroscope. Okay. So we'll close that. I wonder, so ships under construction, a couple months now and we'll get the Fuso. I think it's time we look at doctrine. So normally torpedo warfare would be a training priority, but at this moment in time, really torpedo warfare hasn't started yet. If we do gunnery, it's going to cost us $300 a month. But I think that would be worth it because we need, if a war comes with China here, we need every shot to count. So we're going to focus training on gunnery. And this is why it's going to take 12 months. So there's not a lot of point of starting this when the war has already kicked off, right? You want to do this before you think you're going to be in a wartime footing. And we're going to be locked into that for 12 months. So we're going to hit OK. And then when we're looking at firing on really battleships, because dreadnoughts, battlecruisers, nobody has them yet. At short, medium, and long range, what shell munitions do we want to be using? We're going to put HE at short range as well. 7 to 10 inches. I think this is fine. 11 inches or larger, so this would pretty much be our Fuso class. We want armor piercing at all ranges. That makes sense. Oh, yes, save changes. When we're talking about hitting heavy cruisers, I think we want 4 to 6 inches to be HE. And 7 to 10 inch, we want armor piercing at long range. Light cruisers, we're gonna go armor piercing at all ranges here. I think so. Okay. We're going to put more HE shells. We're going to do actually a 65-35 split here for 4 to 6 inches. And so that was secondary armaments. We're going to do the same though with main. And then 80/20 is fine for 7 inches and larger. Save those changes. Okay. Well then, got all of our ships and divisions. I'm feeling like war's coming not too far around the corner, so I want to do some of these steps to prepare for it. Go the next month. Our major shipyards is short on orders. They're offering to build one of the Awati heavy cruisers. 10% discount on price and in 22 months. We just don't have the budget for it. Well, no, we do. We're going to take the offer because the Fuso is going to finish in just a month or two here. So we'll take the offer. A world cruise for our young cadets is planned. What ship should be taken? One of our newest and most powerful, some average ships, some of our oldest. I need budget. That's going to be a theme, I think, for the rest of this episode and next episode. We need budget. So we're going to take the prestige hit to get more budget. Oh, above average commander. That's nice. 2 months and the Fuso is ready. So quite a deficit for 2 months, but that'll be okay. The French Rebellion in Antilles continues. Rear Admiral of average ability. I think I've stopped saying it, but I think every turn we've seen the government of Great Britain increase their naval spending. And China increase their naval budget. Okay. Next month. We are now in 1893, by the way. So we're 3 years into the game. And our battleship, Fuso, is commissioned into the Navy. What an exciting day. Eternal upheaval in Albania. Italy wants to send a force to restore order, but they're essentially saying they want to take it over as a colony. What do you recommend? Albania, that's pretty far away, isn't it? I really don't care about that. I mean, if we got budget or something from this, I'd care, but we're not going to get any benefit. So Italy can have Albania. I'm okay with that. Actually, truly, it is kind of I do want Italy to be a little stronger than maybe historically, because I would like Italy to take more attention from some of the European powers, right? I want France, Germany, Great Britain to be spending more of their energy in the Mediterranean than in assets they may have in the Pacific. So a strong Italy probably benefits us. New cruiser from China has just arrived on a goodwill visit, and the press is reporting of it, all of its advanced features. We could ask for a comment. A higher budget, we could have just as advanced ships as that one. We could take a neutral option, or we can escalate the situation. Going to go with the theme here, guys. We want a larger budget. We're going to take the prestige hit for the budget. We have a setback in figuring out improved watertight integrity. Okay. So, Battleship Fuso was commissioned. There's not a whole lot else we haven't talked about there, though. So now we can go to ships in service. And the Fuso, let's first get you a commander. And above average will do. We're going to put you in your own division. Yeah, so let's go with the division editor, actually. And there's actually something I've forgotten to do in the division editor that we'll handle this time, and that is what the role is. We're going to do a new division. There's that. Going to add ships. We'll add the Fuso. And we're going to set role. And they're going to be the fleet flag. And we need an officer for them. This rear admiral is above average. That is good. For the first battle division, lead division will be the second battle division, and it will be core to the Fuso. So really kind of it'll be, I should have renamed them or something, but this is going to be fine. When this ship gets decommissioned or sunk, we'll be just fine then. Anyways, so really the Fuso will lead the fleet, and kind of in battle line will be the first battle division. And then we have our heavy cruisers. Let's set their role. I think because we don't have any other battleships, I think I'm going to set them to core. And they're going to follow the second division. And then the light cruisers, what we'll do, so our new light cruisers that we have, we're going to look at them first. They're going to be independent lead division, second battle division. Our other light cruiser divisions, are going to be scout and then screen for the second battle division. Yes, I think that will work. Okay, so that's done. Very good. So you've got 8 turns left until new docks, 9 months left until our next battleship's produced, and we have a monthly balance of $900 surplus right now. I think we're going to order another Fuso. So we'll go here and we'll order a battleship Fuso, which will be called the Shikashima. All right. Look at our budget too, by the way. 144,000, 145,000. We started right around 100,000 approximately was our budget. We started. Look at the almanac. We've actually done a good job now trying to catch up to some of these other nations. This is really weird seeing this for the technical development, where, you see Great Britain and Germany actually behind. I get that, we did set technological progress to a kind of reduced rate, but this is in comparison to others and such here. I would expect the other nations to be behind, not Germany and Great Britain, but maybe they find themselves in a bit of a arms race if you look at really what they're cranking out here. And they're building 9 battleships in Great Britain. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little interesting. With that, I think we're probably going to end things here. So it's February of 1893. I think a good spot to stop. We've spent money we didn't even have, and we've made some good changes to the structure of our fleet, put in doctrine, etc. It's a good spot to leave things. Excited for the next episode. I don't know that in the next episode we'll actually have the full war with China, but we will be either very close or the very first months of war with China is my expectation in the next episode, especially as we continue trying to grow the budget. Now that we have the first Fuso that's been delivered, if we get an opportunity to go to war with China and we get some type of benefit from it, we're going to declare war. And hopefully we can try to keep tensions lower with Germany, France here. So, as always, any feedback or questions you may have, please leave them in the comments section down below. Love hearing from you guys on these videos. Anything we can do to make them better, of course, want to hear about. Again, just going to do this for the beginning episodes, probably in the playlist or random reminders. Such a great community of YouTube creators supporting Rule the Waves. Please do check out the content of RVT War Games with Dickie, Tortuga Power, or the Historical Gamer. And again, there's more that I'm not mentioning there, but those are some of the top ones that I enjoy watching. And I think you'd probably enjoy their content as well. Thanks so much. And as always, strategy gamers, hoping you have yourselves an excellent day. Bye now.